Hello everyone, Vulcan here, and with this video, I want to give some thoughts and impressions that I have on yesterday's episode on Boku no Hero Academia. As I said in my last video, I caught up with the anime, so I figured why not have a go at this. For those of you who only watch the anime, have no fear as this video is completely spoiler free. So without further ado, let's get this going. The episode starts off with Todoroki confronting Deku following the cavalry battle. Right from the start, there's a lot of tension here due to the way the battle had unfolded, in which Deku forced Todoroki to rely on his left hand that holds his father's quirk, firebending. Noting the similarity between Deku's quirk, in a manner of speaking, and what All Might can do, Todoroki comes to the amusing conclusion that Deku is All Might's love child. Given his childhood though, which he goes on to explain later, I find this to be a logical conclusion for him. Deku's response, which is "that's not how things are," which by the way I'm paraphrasing, gives away that there is a connection between him and All Might. This makes Shoto feel that he has even more of a reason to beat him. Shoto then talks about his father, Endeavor. Endeavor is the top hero of all time after All Might, and someone who's always wanted to rise above everyone else, similarly to Bakugo essentially. Failing to prove himself All Might's superior, he decides to go for plan B, which was to make an all-powerful baby. Shoto then goes on to explain what a quirk marriage is, which is one where someone chooses their spouse based only on their quirk to ensure that the offspring will inherit it or even be born with a stronger version of it thanks to the combination of the two spouses. Shoto then reveals that he's the result of such a marriage. Knowing this, it makes sense that he'd think Deku is All Might's son, as I said earlier. Due to the pain his mother went through because of her relationship with Endeavor and the fate Endeavor forced upon him, Shoto vowed never to use firebending in combat. But as we saw last week, Deku forced Shoto to break that vow. I personally found this very interesting when it was first revealed. Convenience marriages can still be quite common even in the real world depending on where you look as far as I know. And Shoto's story makes me wonder just how common quirk marriages are as well. After all, in a world where hero careers are seen as prestigious, with a high school sports festival even becoming more popular than the Olympics, it wouldn't surprise me if there are some people who want to create offspring with powerful quirks to ensure a better future for themselves. Or if nothing else, to stoke their own ego, as is the case with Endeavor. Deku couldn't help but feel conflicted about his own motivations hearing Shoto's story. Compared to him, Deku's reasons for becoming the top hero felt trivial, as he says himself later on. All he wants is to become like his reason to to become like his inspiration, All Might, and has only made it as far as he has at this point thanks to the help of many others, particularly All Might but also Uraraka, Aizawa, Tsuyu, and a few others who we see in flashbacks. All the while, Todoroki has been battling to prove his worth as his own person and to deny the fate Endeavor forced on him on his own. Despite this, Deku eventually tells Shoto that he intends to reach the top spot anyways. Although nothing's changed on the surface as a result of their talk, knowing Shoto's story and how much it means to him to be able to prove that he can win without firebending, but still be able to tell him that he won't lose is a big thing. It shows that no matter what, Deku is determined to become like his idol, and winning first place at the festival is the first step toward that objective. What's interesting though is that the image of the hero Deku created for himself is brought to question by All Might just before Deku's match in the ensuing tournament. Just before his match, Deku expresses concern over his ability to use One for All, and that despite his visualization and trying to remember how he used it against Nomu, it still feels dangerous for him to use it. All Might confirms that at his current level, Deku can only output 5% of One for All's full potential, which discourages Deku. All Might gives him a good smack and tells him he shouldn't talk so much nonsense and just say, whatever, I'm gonna rise to the top no matter what, which is something I really enjoyed. If you ask me though, Deku can say that it's only given him a small boost, but considering what such a small boost actually means, like destroying building-sized robots and violently shoving someone's arm out of the way without even touching it, I'd say that small boost is still pretty significant. Makes me wonder just what prime Deku will be able to do and also what All Might was able to do in his prime. In my last video, I briefly mentioned how All Might encompasses the aspects of a hero that drew both Deku and Bakugo to him. Deku loves All Might's heroism, while Bakugo loves All Might's prestige, his confidence, and the fact that he cannot fall to any villain. Right here, we see All Might telling Deku to be a little more like Bakugo. He knows that Deku has the true spirit of a hero, hence why he chose him to be his successor, but that he also has to improve his self-esteem. There's a good reason for this. All Might could be as heroic as anyone, but he wouldn't be the figure people could look up to if he couldn't find it in himself to stand tall in the face of adversity with a smile, which is shown by his permanent smile when he's in his muscle form. The fact that Deku made it as far as he has at all, regardless of whether or not he was supported by others, gives him the right to do the same. But let's rewind to the start of the second half of the episode now. Unsurprisingly, the final event of the festival is a tournament. After all, what would a shonen be without a tournament arc? However, just as Midnight takes the box for the students to draw lots from, Ojiro steps up saying that he wants to withdraw. This shocks everyone, especially Ida and Deku, the former saying that this is a unique chance to show agency is what he's worth. Ojiro then says he has no memory of what happened during the cavalry battle, saying that it might be due to Shinso's quirk, but he's too proud to be fighting on the final stage without feeling he deserves it. I feel that this could have resonated with Deku a lot, considering just before, Deku was saying that it was thanks to the help of many that he's able to stand on the same stage as everyone else. Again though, this shows how determined he is to achieve his goal. One other follows Ojiro's example, and Midnight accepts this, admiring their youthful honesty. However, this meant that members of the team that scored 5th place in the cavalry battle would have to take their places. Kendo's team, however, gave the way to Metal Man's team because of how hard they fought in the previous event, and Midnight also accepts this. Seriously, what's the point of the rules if you're just gonna bend them that easily? We then see that Deku is paired up with Shinso, which leads Ojiro to warn him about his quirk. Just as Deku is about to respond to Shinso, Ojiro tells him it's dangerous to talk to him. I won't say what Shinso's quirk is because spoilers, but what's interesting is considering Ojiro's mind went blank during the cavalry battle by his own admission, the question is how was Ojiro able to figure out the trigger for the quirk? We see at the end of the episode that Deku's mind also goes blank the moment he responds to Shinso's goading, which gives credibility to the conclusion that his quirk is triggered upon a verbal response. Hacks abilities like these often have a certain condition attached to them for their activation. For instance, Aizawa can only negate people's quirks when he blinks while looking at them, and blinking again undoes the effects of his quirk whether he wants it to or not. We also saw another example during the cavalry battle itself with Monoma, who copied Bakugo's and Kirishima's quirks by touching them. Even then, Monoma can't use more than one quirk at the same time, though personally I'd have thought it would make more sense for the previous quirk to be copied to be overridden by one he copied more recently, if you know what I mean. In any case, these sorts of conditions being attached to Hack's powers are a nice touch because they'd otherwise be too overpowered. Assuming that Shinso didn't touch Ojiro before the latter's mind went blank, the other possibility is establishing eye contact. However, that wouldn't necessitate Shinso having to establish verbal contact with him, not to mention this would be too overpowered as I just said. It's not something Boku no Hero tends to do. So from Ojiro's perspective, the conclusion that Shinso's quirk is activated on a verbal exchange is a logical one. The preview seems to show that Ojiro will confirm how the quirk is triggered and also what it does. There's a few more things I want to mention about this episode, most importantly the brief exchange between All Might and Endeavor. You can tell that the two haven't been in regular contact with each other, considering All Might is asking him for advice on how to raise the next generation. Knowing the story of Todoroki's upbringing, which is being shown in between the scene, Endeavor really is the last person to ask for advice about this in my opinion. What's also interesting though is the parallels in this scene. One might think the relationship between All Might and Endeavor is a reflection of what's happening between Deku and Shoto, but I actually think this is more of a parallel of the relationship between Deku and Bakugo. You can tell right away that All Might's and Endeavor's philosophies are completely different. All Might is a very heroic and selfless person, much like Deku, although he doesn't lack the confidence and willpower to be at the very top. However, Endeavor only wants to be at the top and doesn't appear to care much for heroism or in a more fundamental level altruism, again similarly to Bakugo. It'll be interesting to see what the future of the series has in store for the rivals and whether or not they'll grow similar to what All Might and Endeavor are now, or if they'll come to terms with each other and learn from their rivalry. Final thing I want to mention about this episode, Mineta is a god among men for giving us fan service. Mina looks so cute in that outfit. I hope you enjoyed this first review of Boku no Hero of mine, starting off with episode 6 of season 2. If you did enjoy it, please leave a like, comment your thoughts on the episode down below, subscribe to see more in the future, and hopefully I will see you again soon.